Welcome back to Kill a Friend, where we explore the intersection of crime and entertainment every other week. I'm Christy, and today we have the first of 2 Outtakes episodes for you. We needed a little bit of a break. We had some exciting stuff happening in our lives, including that Jackie is now a Harvard graduate. She has a master's degree in psychology, so join me on the social media to congratulate her. We really are so excited. She's done so much work, and my family and her family and all of our friends couldn't be prouder of the accomplishment that she's made. So join us with a little excitement for her. And just because we aren't here doesn't mean I don't have brand new exciting content for you. I have outtakes from our episode on Stay Close, Safe, and Dexter New Blood, our triptych of Michael C. Hall, and also from Inventing Anna. First up, Stay Close. We talk about how the American dream is failing, anxiety and sleep, an activity that Jackie did at a quote-unquote hen party, a wedding versus marriage, and of course it's a Friends reference, baldness is a sign of virility, forgotten names, and so much more. Enjoy.
I get that. But you're right. You have to kind of get rid of that dark side of the American dream, and which is a big issue here right now, for our generations. Like the older Gen Zs, I would say young millennial, older Gen Z, and especially middle Gen Z right now is like going through some existential stuff with the American dream.
Like they're like, we're never going to be able to afford houses.
Yeah.
And I'm like, literally, my son's about to graduate high school and is like, I hope that's the thing I can do someday.
Yeah, like there's no, it's,
and I'm like, I just kind of took it for granted. I mean, we bought our first house like pretty right after I graduated college.
Yeah, us too. I mean, when we first moved, our first PCS, we bought a house, which was within the first year of our marriage.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, it was like no big deal. And that was just what you did. It was the next logical step after, renting an apartment. And
but it's the difference of the climbing the ladder, the idea that you're going to be hired on by somebody who's going to invest in you. And then everybody helps everybody kind of propel up the ladder and then invest in the next generation. And when you're at the top, you've done your duty and you get to retire. And, what is the cliche? Get your gold watch and, and all of that. But that's not actually the case anymore.
No. And it really hasn't been for quite some time.
That's one of
for
those.
Most people.
We were talking about something earlier, and you kind of mentioned the frog thing, where temperature changes and the frog can get boiled because they don't realize the temperature is getting warmer. Actually, I think that's really been going on for so long, even to my dad. I would say it started because, he was laid off right as he got to. And that started happening actually more and more. And I think it happened so slowly that it took a long time for us to realize that the companies were not participating in the American dream the same way the employees were.
Right. Oh, that's an interesting distinction. In the same way.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. Oh. And then Megan's not able to sleep because, she's lying to her fiance and she's anxious. So the Sleep Foundation talks about anxiety and sleep and that it's not uncommon for anxiety to cause sleep disruptions. Yes. But there's a really bad negative cycle for insomnia and anxiety disorders. The worse your insomnia becomes, the worse your anxiety is, the worse your anxiety is, the worse your insomnia is.
Yeah.
It's a snake eating its tail and it's very troubling.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't even know it comes first.
No.
Because one can trigger the other. It's a bi-directional relationship. So you don't really know. I mean, sometimes, it could be actually a disruption of sleep for whatever reason that starts to increase the anxiety, which then furthers the sleep. So you don't know which started the ball rolling.
Right.
And that can be hard.
Yeah. And that's why it's important if you have anxiety coupled with sleep disorders that you try and fix well, ideally you'd fix both.
Right.
But if you can get a good night's sleep, that's going to help your anxiety, which is probably going to help you sleep more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Really, the sleep is the first thing you can
It's
do.
it's the easiest thing.
It's the low hanging fruit.
Right.
Because there's a lot of things you can do to get your sleep cycle and your circadian rhythms back into place and create better rest. Because if it is anxiety that caused it to begin with, you're going to have a better time dealing with the anxiety if your sleep is proper.
Right.
So that's where you got to start first. And a lot of people feel the opposite. They want to
treat their anxiety before it. But if you can't sleep, then it doesn't really matter. All of your work to try and help ease your anxiety isn't going to be as effective as it could be if you would just get a good night's rest.
Yeah, well, and consistently.
Yeah.
Like a month's worth.
Right.
Like it's not like you're going to wake up and feel better the next day. It's like you have to get your entire sleep cycle back into a place of healthy sleep. And we have a tendency to like when we just want it directly fixed so it feels trite.
Yeah.
And it's not trite. It's not, and that's hard for Americans.
Yeah.
This is particularly an American issue. We, as a country, have the highest levels of anxiety and depression and other mental health disorders, especially things like ADHD. We diagnose that at a rate that is startling compared to other civilized and quote first world areas. I mean, it's really bad, but look at us. We have we have this really morbid relationship with being overworked. It's like a badge of honor to stay late and to be the one that's overworked and so busy. And it's like the kind of a humble brag situation where you're like, oh my God, I worked like 80 hours, and we humble brag about it. What we really mean is, look at me, I'm awesome.
Right.
And it's a very American ideal. And that's something the generations are starting to break.
Yeah.
Gen Z especially, they're like, forget that. We're not doing it. We're just not doing it. We're not going to work late and work overtime so that we can be praised and sacrifice all of this other stuff. And it's like just a shift from living to work to live. And but so we have a high level of anxiety and we really dismiss the power of sleep and rest and relaxation.
Right.
And maybe that's why.
I mean, maybe. Europeans tend to have many weeks of paid vacation.
Yeah. I think about like things I would tell somebody in a counseling session or things that I would think about if I was diagnosing or something like that. And everything I would tell somebody to do is always, I say always, I know always isn't the case, but so much of the time would be opposite of what our daily life facilitates.
Right. Which I can understand if you're living in a place of scarcity, how you can feel like more work is your only option. And for some people that's true, but it's not necessarily helpful.
It's not a lifetime. I mean,
right.
When I tell somebody you need to take time off, can they?
Yeah. I mean,
not even financially for themselves. Are they allowed to? Will they lose their job? We don't know.
Right.
There's not enough. They work so hard during the day. There's not even time during each day to rest and relax. So, and then get good sleep. I mean, when we tell people to recover mentally, we realize how little our daily societal experience facilitates good mental health. It really doesn't. It actually facilitates poor mental health.
Right. Yeah.
That's hard.
And still somehow there's a stigma against having poor mental health.
Yeah. And a stigma against not just running to the grind and burning it at both ends all the time. Which is hard. I feel that.
Yeah.
I love it. I love work.
Yeah.
I could work all the time.
Yeah.
And really, and I could fall I think I understand it because I want to go on vacation so I can have space to creatively work. I love it. Put me on a cruise deck at a pool in the ocean and then give me my laptop and let me work. Like that sounds absolutely delightful. Now, there's a way to do that that's more healthy than others.
Well, that just means you're in the right line of work.
Yeah, for me, I love creative space. I love being able to, I love integrating. I've just kind of decided, like, why are we waiting for a holiday? It's a holiday every day. Like, let's combine it. But there is like a drain to that because you're never away from either one of them.
Right.
And so if you can't, and really it's not even about the vacation. Nobody wants to be away from vacation, but it's about stepping away from work.
Yeah.
If you get in that habit, can you unplug enough? And you need to. I need to.
Yeah.
We all need to.
Yeah.
So
it's difficult to do though. it might be different. You might still be called a hen party in other parts of the world. So North Africa might call it a hen party, but instead of having a stripper painting or whatever, they do henna.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah, in preparation for the wedding.
Actually, I have a friend who she is from India originally and came to the States when she was like a teenager-ish.
Yeah.
But when she got married, we did have the full Indian wedding, and I was her
fun.
only bridesmaid because there was only one. And so we did it. We did the whole thing.
So fun.
So it was really fun. It's very itchy. Like real henna is extremely itchy.
Oh,
and
really? I didn't find it itchy.
I mean, this henna that's like the homemade like Indian henna, like it's just like when it's drying, because it takes like an hour and a half to dry.
Yeah.
Not after it's gone. I'm just saying, when they do it.
As it dries, it kind of pulls.
It's so intricate and you cannot move. Now, as a bridesmaid, I only had like one kind of thing. She had everywhere. So she's sitting in the swing, and her feet, and you might have to post this video. All right, so this is what she looked like. She was like this. It was itchy and she couldn't move, and so I'm like feeding her water. It was very funny. But and then of course she has that beautiful golden skin, and it stayed for a little while, but my skin is white.
Yeah.
I had that sucker for like a year. Like,
what, that long?
Yeah. Well, this henna is meant to last for a long time.
Right.
So hers lasted about like, I would say 5 months or so.
Oh,
and
wow.
mine should have lasted about the same. Instead, like at month 6 and 7, I'm like,
you're like, I need some exfoliation
still
here.
Looks pretty good. I don't know. It took really a long time for it to go. But it was really fun. I kind of loved having it.
Yeah, it's like non-permanent tattoos.
Well, it was just beautiful. Like the artist did such a gorgeous job. I mean, like
good.
her little designs with the it was not a flower design as much, although because it almost looked like fireworks and sunbursts.
Oh, neat.
Around like a kind of like a vine garden. So like the vine was gardeny, like a flowery kind of vine, like the connecting lines. But then there were these like sunbursts and like sunbursts and like that's already said sunburst. Yeah. Sunburst and like firework kind of bursts.
Oh,
and
neat.
it was gorgeous. It was just so pretty.
Did it go with a theme, or was it just?
No, it was just her design. That's what she did.
That's super
That's
cool.
what she did. I mean, they leave it to the artist. You just hire the artist. They come in with their own brand, their own color.
Yeah.
So, and my color was a little like your shirt, like the darker brown. It wasn't black at all. It was like more of a brown.
Yeah.
Which is why I was surprised it stayed for so long. It was good stuff. It was great.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay.
Cool.
That's fun. A little side story.
Yeah.
Don't let a wedding stop you from the marriage.
Right.
Allow your life to go forward. Be married. Make the vow. Have a beautiful time. Invite a few people. Don't spend a whole bunch of money. Go downtown. But then if you want to plan for the big wedding ceremony where you do the whole thing, I mean, I get that. But I mean, I get that you can't afford it either.
Right.
It was like on Friends when Monica... Every time I call it a party, I feel Monica's eyes on me.
Like, if you call our wedding a party one more time, you might not be invited. Yes. But Chandler also talks her out of the wedding scenario A.
Yep.
Somebody
By
who's
talking
seen
about the
Friends
marriage.
way too much.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah. We'll just have 2 kids. Well, how many were we going to have?
Yeah. 3.
3, and we'll pick our favorite, and they can go to college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved how he talked about that.
Yeah, like and it was just such a sweet romantic thing. I hate to say it, but you can kind of tell it was written by a woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think, men think about that, but they think about it typically, at least men our age, tend to think about it a little more abstractly.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Oh, someday we'll have children.
They might think more about saving for the house.
Yeah.
Or for cars or something like that. But yeah, in this scenario, Chandler's talking about, and she comes back with that statement of, I'd rather have a marriage.
Right.
Which is exactly the point.
Mm-hmm. So. Exactly. So.
I can't help it. I'm sitting here and I'm like, there's a large picture of Bruce Willis upside down here.
Yep.
Okay,
That's exactly who he is.
Look at it. Okay.
Bald. Yeah. He's recognizable.
Yeah, he is. That bald head is like.
Yep. Well, and the bald head is the whole point.
Okay,
is
tell
that
me.
the bouncer at the club Vipers claimed that baldness was a sign of virility. So I was like,
Is that true?
it's more complicated than that.
Okay. All right. I figured that.
It's a common saying.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I missed that.
They tend to think of themselves as more virile because there's somewhat link between baldness and testosterone levels. So
Baldness, like you lost your hair, not like you shaving it.
Right.
Because he's shaving half of it.
Well, yeah, but he's lost enough of it that it makes sense to shave it.
Mm-hmm, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, which is the case for a lot of bald men.
Right.
Like they
It's true.
start to go bald and
then they just shave it.
And rather than do the comb over, they just do the shave.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, me too.
I wish women had that option. So there really is a link between baldness and higher testosterone.
That
Or
there
correlation,
is.
I mean.
There is a correlation. It does not necessarily mean that you're more virile.
Yeah.
That it's a lot more to do with genetics
I
than
feel like
actual.
that's a little Napoleon complex. going
Yeah,
on there.
it's really much more genetics and less likely to be because you're,
Yeah,
just
that's
such
okay.
a sexual being.
You know what? Let him compensate.
Well,
it's fine.
exactly. That's fine. And you can read this article that talks in depth about it.
Okay.
At Future. Not in the future.
Not in the future, but like at future.
Yeah, future.com,
.com.
I think. Yeah. Which of course we'll have the link to that.
Of course.
Yeah. So the show really made it look like Megan could have left her life as Cassie behind very completely.
Okay.
That it was, no one would know that she had once been Cassie, that it would have been easy for her to kind of disappear. And the Greater Boston Legal Services would like to let you know it's not that easy.
I wouldn't think it's that easy.
No, I mean, you suspend your disbelief for the show, but
Yeah.
you realize, like, no, like, you don't become an entirely new person. It's still the same you. You don't just get a whole new set of documentation.
No.
I mean, you get your new documentation and your new name, but it's still kind of linked to your old name.
Yeah, of course.
You don't really just get to start over with a clean slate. You want to keep your same social security number so that you have things like your credit history and your professional accomplishments and education credentials and things like that. Any of that stuff you're going to want to keep with you in your next life. Your change isn't completely confidential.
No, right?
I mean, most, at least in the United States, most places, when you change these things, you have to have notices either in the newspaper or at the courthouse, something like that. So there would be a record of that. And there are things you can do other than changing your name and or your social security number to protect you in the event that you're a victim.
Yeah,
and you're
now
trying to
that would
escape
be that would be the question: is how can you protect yourself in that case?
I mean, you check with your local domestic violence shelters wherever you're living, and they're going to be able to help you with that kind of stuff. There's online blocking you can do, ways you can handle to try and remove your information from the internet. Don't put it out there to begin with. You can put credit freezes, protective orders, things like that, which we've talked about in the past. Protective orders are kind of so-so, but at least it's a thing you can do. You can go to the bank and tell them, I need to remove this person from the account and I need to be notified if there's any activity.
Yeah.
But there's a fair few things that you can do short of changing your name and moving away and trying to. But it wasn't very realistic.
Okay.
In that respect. All of the sources that we use to inform our discussion here on Killer Fun Podcast can be found on our social media. Join us on Facebook at Killer Fun Podcast, exploring the intersection of crime and entertainment. You can find us on Twitter at Killer Fun Pod, or you can send us an email at killerfunpodcast@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to share a link to whatever information you're looking for. We love to hear from you. You might learn a little something too. Michael, the detective, didn't remember the name of an assistant, Leanne, who had worked in their building for like 6 months.
Okay.
Like he'd come in contact with her
It
on
happens,
a daily basis.
But it happens.
And he introduced himself and she's like, yeah,
I know who
we've
you are.
met. He's like, are you new here? And she's like, well, I was new here like 6 months ago.
Oh, that's
We've
funny.
met several times since then. She was not
happy about it.
She was not very nice about it, because you could tell this was not the first time he'd introduced himself. And they kind of play it off as like he's just eccentric and like a dude who's too wrapped up in his important job.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you mean he's just a jerk?
Yeah, he's just a jerk.
I got it. There was a TED Talk on how to introduce yourself so that you'll be unforgettable.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, well, that's kind of fun.
All right.
And not that she should have had to do this with somebody that she worked with.
Oh, no.
This is not what I'm saying at all.
But maybe you could employ this in a networking situation.
Well, and that's exactly what they're talking about. So you normally, when you're at a networking situation, when somebody asks you what you do, you tell them your title at your company. And that's boring.
That's just boring.
It's boring. So they kind of went on to talk about how naming your special sauce up front is how they worded it. Go beyond your title. Think about what you'd like to be known for and have a deeper response. So instead of saying, I'm a journalist and a playwright, you can say, the world can be an overwhelming place, so I help people to connect to one another by telling stories as a journalist and a playwright.
All right, I'm going to have to sit with that.
I mean, okay, it's a little pretentious.
I would definitely be like, delete.
Well,
move on. This
yes,
person is
but-
ridiculous.
But you would remember them.
I know, delete. I'd be
You'd be done. Okay.
That one doesn't get me. Do they have another
They
suggestion?
have other stuff.
Okay, let me
So
see.
you think about the problems that only you can solve. So what problems do you solve at work that make you particularly effective at your job?
Mm-hmm.
So framing yourself as a problem solver, which, let's be honest, that's all any of us are at our jobs.
Yeah, right.
Is
Exactly.
we're solving problems.
Yeah.
It's, maybe it's not a problem. Maybe it's the problem of what do I put on this box for this client?
Right. I mean, most people are in problem solving roles.
Right.
Some of us are
Exactly.
in make a problem role.
Yeah. So instead of saying, I'm a lawyer who specializes in this type of law, you might say, I think the biggest problem about our justice system is this. And as an attorney who focuses on this other thing, I'm helping to find those solutions to these problems. So you can say,
Yeah.
I'm an entertainment lawyer, but what I'm really doing is helping people to come to agreements that everybody's going to be happy with.
Yeah, I don't know. Yes, I get it. I'm kind of on board with this, but I think their approach is probably a little tone deaf.
Okay. Well, that's
Only
fair.
because what makes you memorable is the experience of the hearer, not the content of what you tell them. So unfortunately, you'd already had to introduce yourself and be interesting to be able to get to that.
This is true. That's fair.
So while I appreciate that part of it, because if you got the follow-up question right after that, like, well, what is it that you focus on now? Now hit them with the
Well, they're
content.
saying don't wait for that.
I don't like that. I think you should have something far more piffy up front. If you introduce yourself and somebody spills out an elevator pitch, no.
Yeah.
No. First of all, you're looking to use me, and I know it now.
Oh. Well, and that... Okay, that's fair. I hadn't thought of
Right?
it like that. But they're saying this opens by saying a little more about yourself rather than just, I'm a podcaster. I'm a podcaster who likes to talk about the intersection of crime and entertainment. Instead of saying the name of the podcast or that I'm a producer of a podcast, you can say, this is what my podcast does. That might help open up the conversation. And when you start talking about that kind of stuff, if you can work it into the conversation early, it gives people the opportunity to say, oh, well, you know what? I know somebody who's interested in that kind of stuff, or I know of a project that I'm doing that might work really well with that. It just gives the opportunity for connection to be there.
Yeah.
If you can work it in a little sooner. And I don't
think
necessarily
sooner is good.
Yeah.
I don't think you should wait like a whole, but this is not an introduction. This is I don't know.
Fair. I just thought it was interesting, but rethinking the way that you introduce yourself rather than just name and title and company that you work for.
Right. Absolutely. You should say something else.
Yeah. Like not just, and you are more than your job. Now at a networking event, I think this is the uniquely American thing that kind of dovetails with the whole working a lot is a badge of honor. You're more than your title and position at your job.
Right.
You can say, well, I really what I am is, I'm a mom, but I really love to make podcasts.
Right.
I
mean, if you're at a work event and right. So it depends on the context you're in, of course. I mean, as somebody who loves work, even in a social setting, I am interested to know what people do for work because I think it is a big part of us. But that is something that's very kind of American about me. I go work first, hobby second. I struggle to have any hobbies, actually. So I definitely fall into this category of an American who is like very like work focused.
Right.
Although it's not like so if you're a homemaker, like you stay at home with your kids, I consider that work. So it's just right up in there.
Right.
But as far as like hobbies and things like that, I definitely go with kind of a work first. But I do think when you introduce, like I was thinking like, what can you do to make yourself more memorable? Eye contact, standing up straight, a certain type of smile, something that connects them so you get the follow-up question, something that begs a question.
Yeah.
Like,
well, but see, not everybody has that sort of gravitas in their physicality. That's not, I think what they're trying to do is just say something unexpected in order to be able to engage them more.
Yeah. And I think sometimes for a lot of us, even for somebody like me who's fairly outgoing and whatever, but you kind of have to determine if you're in a networking situation, it's not bad to have a script.
Right.
That you've practiced
in
the mirror.
And they suggest that too. Run it by your family and friends.
Like you need to practice it. You may not naturally be a uber witty person, but that doesn't mean you can't come up with something charming or inviting or welcoming about yourself that you can practice as a script.
Right.
Right? Like even something as simple as, you introduce and they say, oh, well, what do you do? And you go, actually, I'm more interested in what you do.
Yeah.
There you go. It's more memorable. Now you've asked a question instead. You've turned it around. You've done something. You don't have to be funny about it.
Right.
You can be relational, but I don't know, something
a little unexpected really is, I think is mainly what they're trying to get at.
Like that I'm on board with.
Don't just say your name, your position, and what company you work for, unless you want to be forgotten.
I mean, sometimes.
Which, let's be honest, we've all been to an event where we're just like, I don't really want to be here.
Yeah.
And I just want to observe.
Yep.
And I tend to be a little... I'm outgoing and friendly, but I'm also pretty reserved in what I tell people.
Yeah.
Which surprises some people sometimes because they're like, they don't understand that you can be both.
Yeah, you can. And you definitely are. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm pretty reserved about what I tell people. Yeah. And I tend to ask a lot of questions about other people. But I don't know if that's because that's just who I am or because I'm female.
Or just deflecting.
Or deflecting because I am cautious by nature.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because,
men can think that they're on a really great date because a woman asks a bunch of questions, and really the woman's just like, I want to avoid telling you anything about me.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Uh-huh.
That could be a little bit of both. Or it could be kind of a character trait or a personality trait, I should say, really. A personality trait that you can kind of leverage as needed. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're in a position where you're just simply like, I like to ask questions. I like to know. And that's a great thing. And right now, I don't like you. So I'm going to use that personality trait to protect myself. It seems like a good tool, right? A hammer has two sides. You can nail it in or you can pull it out. I mean,
it works for a lot of people too, because I'll find myself... I'll ask people questions and then they feel like they know me really well.
Because you ask questions.
Because I asked questions. Because they were vulnerable with me. Mm-hmm. Not only do they feel like I know them, but they feel like they know me well. And that's...
not true.
Not at all.
Right.
The number of friends who no longer speak to me because they thought they knew me. And really, what I did was be a good listener.
Yeah. Which is a beautiful trait. That's what's beautiful about you.
Oh, well, thank you.
You do, and you ask good questions and poignant questions. So I really think it is a part of your personality. You have a good tendency to ask really good questions and allow people to be safe and vulnerable with you. You're a safe space.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. Most people don't have that as a personality trait and have to work really hard to add that to their skill.
Oh.
Right?
Well, that's good.
I mean, I think it's a beautiful thing, but I don't think it's a bad thing for you to flip it around and be like, well, right now we're pulling it, we're doing the other side of the tool. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fine.
We have just a few outtakes from our episode on safe. We talk about manned guard stations. None of us know what it's like to live in a guard station manned neighborhood, but we get to see a little bit of what it's like and how that provides maybe an illusion of safety. Of course, there are flubs. We talk about Mac versus PC and more.
Yeah, there you go.
They're working. All right. Big houses, a manned guard station.
Yeah.
That's some cash right there.
It is.
Because I've never lived in one that had a manned guard station.
No, and I think that would, for me, increase the illusion.
Yes.
I can't say it increases safety, but I think it does increase the illusion of safety when, like, you've got somebody there.
Yeah. Well, as an aside, until you get later into the show and you realize Pete's been sneaking in the side to see his boyfriend. Yeah. Okay. I need to. Mark Warren is Pete, and he had a stint on The Good Wife and has been consistently working in television since 1988.
What?
He does not look old enough to have been working consistently.
Was he a child actor?
I mean, he must have been.
He must have been.
Because, I mean...
He looks so young.
I mean... Yes, it's relative now.
It is relative because he has like something of it that's just a countenance of youth.
Yeah.
He's the unburden of certain things that, like, okay, sometimes this might end up on a bonus episode because it has really little to do with what we're talking about. But sometimes people tell me that I look really young. And I realize it's because they haven't seen me with my children. Right? So they haven't seen the mom face. They haven't seen that like burden. They just kind of see me as just
the fun Jackie.
Yeah. So I think Pete, he has that unburdened look.
Because he has no children?
He has no children. Like he has no,
Yeah, I understand.
Not that children are burdens.
No.
Wait. Let me go back.
I think maybe we just spoke a little truth there by accident. I love my children.
The
world is a better place for having them.
Absolutely. Our children are awesome.
They're
going
awesome.
to change the world.
Yours might.
Yours are absolutely going to change the world.
Mine are going to entertain the world.
Well, that's true too. The talent is like off the chain with that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying our children are amazing, but children in general.
Yeah, they're work.
It's work.
I mean, they can be wonderful. I can be glad that they're here. And I can also recognize that they cramp my style a little bit.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't change it.
No, I wouldn't change it either.
Right.
But there is some work, and sometimes that excess of work is a burden.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love you, my children. Now I've created myself a new burden. Okay, continuing. But for community,
Well, it might not matter if you're just using his displays. Connect them to your
if he has an extra
laptop.
port, I might just do that. Yeah, because otherwise I have to use his PC, and it's all gamer and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. I need like a smooth user interface.
Agreed.
Well, that's a whole fight in our household. So I just opened up a can of worms.
That's all right. I'm in agreement with you.
Yes.
We're a Mac household. There's no fighting.
That's right.
So, like, if you want tech support from Dad, then you better have a Mac.
We are split. Now we are split because we've got Mac and all of that, and then the boys have Dells. What are you gonna do? It's a good PC, though. I will tell you that.
It's fine.
The Dell is a great PC.
That's right. It's just when you're a creative person, I tend to find the Mac's a little more user friendly.
Yeah. Our big fight is, you know how you just want to open something and use it? Mm-hmm. That's why I'm Mac.
Yeah. Because it just works.
Because it just works.
Oh. If you use a PC, we're so glad for you.
We're
so glad that you like it. Because
so glad.
You know, it's one of the, I don't have to like it for you to like it.
That's right.
That's totally fine.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah. All right. So Tom was, oh, no. I already did that part. That was the one I just did.
Oh, okay. Next one.
Yeah. The European. The European.
That was a good one. So go.
I don't know if it's a cute way of saying European or, oh God, it's hard to say European. You gotta practice it. Or if it's talking about a penis.
I know. You're a beanie.
I was watching Golden Girls this morning. Total aside. And there was Joe jokes. So I gotta talk to Joe about this. Joe Mama.
This is so funny.
Okay. In our outtakes from Dexter New Blood, we just have a couple of things. We have some flubs when we talk about how the showrunner might be willing to make more Dexter New Blood. Is that really necessary? So despite some suspicious
Despite some stuff.
Yes. It's all very sus here. Clive Phillips, the showrunner, did an interview with Esquire magazine, and he said it's up to Showtime to make the call if they want more. If they ask me, I'd like to make a continuation of this. I would say yes. I have a lot of things going on, but I would drop everything for this and say yes in 1 second.
Oh.
So he would be willing to keep it going.
All right.
So it's interesting that it feels like a rush to you, or like a just like get it done to you situation, because it's not what he says.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah. It's not like a Game of Thrones ending where, you know, the showrunners, the double D's, there were two guys named Dave who were the showrunners of this. They said they were done.
Well, the big GRR said it's done.
Well, yeah.
It's done.
It's done. Yeah.
Now it's all in graphic novel form. Yay. That's what he's doing instead of writing the last book.
He's never going to write that last
book.
book.
He's not.
Sorry.
I'd have to go back and reread it anyways. Who has time for that? Because it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while. Been a minute.
It's been a minute.
You could just watch it on HBO.
I could, and I should.
Uh-huh.
I should one day.
And in our last set of outtakes, we have Inventing Anna. More flubs, of course, because we make mistakes. We talk about if there's a Gilmore Girls relationship going on here. Contouring can do so much or so little for a face. We talk about the Rikers bus and a programming note and more.
Pregnant Vivian arrived.
Pause. I thought she was a writer on Gilmore Girls.
Oh, I can't look it up on my phone. No. My phone's over there doing stuff.
She's not, but a lot of people ask that because there's such a overlap in style.
The rapid fire.
The rapid fire. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Sorry. I had to
fine.
look that up because I was like,
right.
Are we not mentioning Gilmore Girls right now? And
I didn't see it, but that doesn't mean it wasn't there. So, yeah.
It wasn't. Okay. Like, I'm looking at these pictures of her now, and I'm like, actually, Julia Garner, like, totally played her.
I mean,
is actually
for
like,
real.
I mean, that is legit.
I read a tweet. I wondered why they couldn't get Julia Garner better wigs for this for this show. And then I saw pictures of the actual Anna Delvey, and I thought, oh.
And look, this one's great because it's got her Instagram stuff and how hot she looks.
Yeah.
And then there's because makeup. Oh, Ken mentioned that. He was like, oh, she looks so weird. She doesn't look like her. I think does she have like nose prosthetic? And I was like, it's contour.
Yeah.
It's contour. Well, she looks different in every, it's contour.
Yeah.
She contours her face for the part she's playing. If she wants to play the hot blonde, she's going to contour it a certain way. If she's playing the style fashion show guru, she's style. I mean, hello, I can make my face have different angles just with a brush.
Right.
Hello.
Well,
contour is everything.
He hasn't watched, the videos. Because, you've had it late at night sometimes. You're just like, you stumble upon a makeup tutorial video and for 2 hours while you can't sleep.
And you're watching them completely. And I'm like, oh, that's how you do that. I've learned so much from YouTube. And from, yeah.
Exactly.
What to do and how to do it. And I contour when I would be on stage and knowing that a camera is going to be on it. Because I don't really have a nose.
Yeah.
Like, that's not really there.
It's such a cute little button nose. People have
it's good for stage.
There you go. It's plastic. People have plastic surgery to have such a petite little nose like you do.
It's weird to me because I'm like, you want more oxygen than this can provide. Trust me. And like breathe right strips. That's made for people like me. Like open that up, And so, but on stage with bright lights, it's great because bright lights they can create the shadows necessary, and still with makeup and all that. But camera is way harsher. So like I have to contour darker lines here to create the angles so that I look like I have a nose. Because otherwise I look like I don't have a nose on camera. It's really easy for that because the camera angle just misses it. Yeah. So contouring everything.
There you go.
I digress.
So the bus at Rikers, it is called Rosie, but it's because it's called the Rose M. Singer Center, and they're actually trying to move that away from Rikers so that they won't have both genders, prison genders. Prison genders? That doesn't seem right. I don't know how to say that. Maybe I want to start that over.
Yeah, maybe.
What are they called? It's gone. Scammer.
Okay.
That's the word I'm looking for. It just right out of my head. It was gone.
That's what people have a problem with science about.
Yes, because their experience of it is really small. Right. And so they think that, I don't know exactly how I don't know exactly how DNA works. I can't say it.
DNA?
Yeah, I know, like what it actually stands for.
Oh, I can't say it.
Oh, it's gone. Never mind. Anyway.
Yeah, okay. I like this woman in the house across the street from the girl in the window.
So good.
This is where I want to go.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes.
The others are good too, but...
Okay. Will you read it out? Because I don't have it in front of me and it's really long.
Yes.
And that is it for today. We are out, but we will be back with another super fun Outtakes episode for you next time. We don't leave you hanging when we take a little break. We give you more new, fresh, unheard content. And hey, make sure you rate and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And we love hearing feedback from you, especially when it's good. And until next time, be safe, be kind, and wash your hands.
Bum, bum, bum. Ba, ba. Da, da, da.